Just can't win with this stuff, I tell you. So people complained about the streams being too early, even though I explained that's because I have stuff I do on Saturday and Monday. So I set my alarm this morning for I think it was 8:30, and I tried. It was around three something. I tried to go to sleep so I could get about maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and I figured with the sleep I had earlier in the previous day, it would be it would kind of like counterbalance each other out. Instead, I sort of slept in and just wasn't able to come up here until damn near almost 10 o'clock. So I'm annoyed because I have an appointment that I'm trying to meet that's at 12 something. So that means we'll be probably having to do this for less than 2 hours or just barely 2 hours. Um, but it is what it is. Yeah, this is just another one of those weeks where it's the same old crap. You apply for some stuff, hear nothing back, etc., etc. I have to admit, I don't think at least I don't remember applying for anything specifically this week. I think I probably just kind of, yeah, it was. I know there was a job fair at some point, and it was about like a 40-minute drive, and I just thought that was a waste of gas because the last time I went to a job fair, I literally ended up with nothing except a bunch of papers and empty promises. Oh, we'll call you back if you fill this stuff out or whatever. All that little, the regular usual lies. So I turned that down because it was just too far away, in my estimation. It was interesting watching Fox yesterday and finding out that we have referring to California, the most expensive gas out of any state. It's like $5 and 90 something cents for a single gallon. I believe that because every time I try to fill the car up, it's like 40, 50, $60. It costs more to get for um, a full tank of gas than to get weekly groceries. And then you add on top of that, the 300 something this person wants every month. I mean, it's no wonder why I said I felt like I was being drained the money because it's like it's about probably 200 some dollars to eat for a full month. And then if you're driving places frequently, it's going to be another like 120, 180. So good luck doing anything at this rate. Yeah, stuff is just too expensive. Just like I had my really goofy friend that tries to talk up Fat Burger and defend it being $16 just to eat one damn burger, and he's like, "It's the best. They have the best burgers, and sometimes you have to treat yourself." And I said, it's really sad that when you have a conversation with not and remember this isn't a kid, so it's like when you talk to another adult about the price of food and just stuff being too expensive, they can't quantify the ridiculousness of the price compared to what you actually get. Um, so for example, if I were to say I like the burgers from McDonald's the best, and that's subjective because anyone can say that they like this place more than anywhere else. I could still say that there's no way in hell I would spend almost $20 for one burger. There's like nowhere is making something, especially a fast food place, is making something so good that cost would even make any type of sense. Some of the stuff these people say, you almost would think they're getting paid by these companies to like shill for them or make excuses for them, and it's really sad too because when you talk about how expensive stuff is, especially non-utilities like food, as or excuse me, non-utilities like these different fast food places, and when I say that, I'm talking about how you can get much cheaper food at the market, for example. All of those opinions are based around giving the consumer something that is not so costly. So when one of the consumers is like, "Oh no, I like paying this ridiculous price for this thing that is okay or tastes good or whatever," I just think it's pathetic because they're literally biting themselves on the butt. They're actively against not having to. I don't know. It's like it's so backwards to think that grown adults defend like places making the equivalent of one meal of food cost almost or even directly $20. Like I think that's nuts. Like when you go to one of these places, you get a medium drink or a large drink, it's like $3 or $4 on top of a burger that's like 14, 15, 16. Like I don't that's why I said I just people they're sad. They really are. Sad in terms of what they'll defend, sad in terms of what they choose to focus on and what they ignore. It's pathetic. That's always the funniest part to me about and like just the sleep schedule. It's like I can hypothetically sleep in and still feel tired. You could sleep for longer than you intended and still kind of feel, you know, I don't want to say drowsy, but sort of what's a good way of putting it? Not as um entirely set as you thought you would be. I already said before the other problem with this place is that they have a couple of spaces um that are available for someone to park at, and then a bunch of other spaces will just have cars parked there all day long, and they'll be in the exact same spot in the exact same position from like 6 or 7 this morning all the way up until probably 3, 4, or 5 this afternoon. And I've said this before. It's like there are a whole bunch of instances where people who don't actually buy anything from these places will just take these spots like all day long. I tell you, the craze around Barbie is one of the most interesting things I've seen because when it was first, being discussed in, I guess, a more serious way of, hey, we're going to go watch this movie, you had people who were saying, oh, we're going to do Barbenheimer. We're going to watch both of them, this little double feature thing, right? And I never have done a double feature. I go to the movies for one movie and then I leave and go home. Just because I just in general don't have the stamina to just stay in this one building, and I don't know. I usually feel like kind of worn out a little bit after just sitting through one of those. Um, but yeah, they made this big stink about Barbenheimer, but in actuality, people are really not watching Oppenheimer that much at all. I mean, yeah, it's made 400 million, but in comparison with the what almost 800 million that Barbie's made, it's kind of like small potatoes. Like that's we're talking barely or slightly half of what the other ones made. And I already said like I just can't get over the length. 3 hours. I know someone's gonna get mad at me for saying that, but I'm in general I'm just getting tired of these really long movies. I think the length is something that needs to go down on most of this stuff. I was trying to see yesterday if it would have made 800 million outright yet because We had one point, I think it was Saturday or Friday, where it was like just jumping and jumping. Yeah, let me go on here and look. Yeah, someone just pulled up with a really noisy vehicle. So if you can hear that, I apologize. The weather over here is the worst thing possibly ever invented. I mean, it is awful. And this goes back to why I said I really hate that stuff is the way it is, because it would still be hot in the house, but not this much. And when you have a place that's so small, um, that you don't have anywhere to just kind of like any room to just sit in and do like I don't know the whole. That's why I said this whole period of the last you know 7 or 8 months has really just driven me nuts, because I'm really getting tired of even having to go up here just to sit in front of the camera for an hour or so. Like it, just like the insanity of, here's this place with multiple rooms, but because the people there sleep until damn near midway through the afternoon, you can't. You know what I'm saying? It's just I think it's nuts. God, it's gotten so bad you can't even do it one day a week. It used to be I could do it on you know Monday, be there, but instead when someone is there all day long, every single day, and they almost never go outside under any circumstances. God, I can't imagine just like having a car that runs like that. That vehicle is making so much noise. You would think it's about to combust into flames. Like, holy hell. That's always the biggest problem with these cars, because of sometimes they're really old and the people who have them can't afford to get another one, so they just keep making repairs to something that's going out of service sooner than later. I do find interesting how for as much homelessness as I see, it seems like there's never a shortage of cars. Like, I've seen a lot of instances where there's someone homeless and they have a vehicle, which makes sense. You make your little, if you own the car, you make one with that one time payment of several thousand, and it's yours. And in some of these places, these little dealerships that are off the grid, even some of them, they're selling cars, cheaper than that. Yeah, this is definitely the warmest month I can remember. You know, I was just thinking about something that happened on Saturday, and just kind of how I always feel like people say they love each other and they care about someone, all the rest of the little stuff they try to tell you when you're related to them, but in in practice, they never show that. They never act in a way that can really demonstrate an actual desire to be around that person and to do things with that person. And it gets to the point of almost self parody when the person that they claim to like so much will ask them to go do something with them, like hang out, watch a movie, whatever. And then the other person's like, no. And you're like, this is really crazy because here's someone who you try to do one thing with, not like a daily thing. You try to do one thing with, and they refuse, and they don't refuse because they're actually busy, or they just don't care. But that's the kind of stuff that really pisses me off, and I really, I hate having family like that. I really do. So much talk about liking someone else, loving them, etc., etc., but they can never do anything with you. Seriously, it's so backwards that you can sit in the house with multiple people and have them just staring at their phones and computers all day long, and the only time they acknowledge you is to tell you to go do a chore, or some other type of menial activity, or make them food. I had to have the loudest car ever pull up next to me. It doesn't even seem like they're buying anything either. I guess they dropped somebody off. I didn't even see if someone came out the car. I'd assume that's why they're here. God, what a aggravating day. And yesterday wasn't really that much better because I had a headache, and kind of like went back to sleep. Didn't really get up until around 6 or something. Like, just kind of, just didn't feel good. And right after getting up, this same person like starts trying to argue with me about something, and I just was rolling my eyes. I guess they didn't, because apparently they just assumed I was just laying down all day just to lay down all day. That's why I said I don't know how many more months of this I can take, because I'm just tired of the lack of support. I'm tired of the constant draining of money. I'm just sick of this stuff. I really am. And it really does always seem like things can only get worse. They can never, you never see any types of improvement in either the way people act or the things they do. And most of it is just petty man-made nonsense. I remember it was Jem that said a lot of these jobs want experience for their supposed new entry positions. Like, a complete contradiction, but because they capitalize on the desperation of people who actually want to work, they're able to, sort of get away with it. I say sort of because we've documented before that a lot of these places will hire somebody instead of you after wasting your time, and then like 2, 3, 4, 5 months later, they're right back on the site looking for somebody else. I already told you about the bastards over at that what was that job, that place where they had me fill all that paperwork, and then they're gonna sit there and tell me, after agreeing to hire me and having me sign all this nonsense, thanks but no thank, man. When I saw them again trying to get me to interview with them, apparently not knowing I was the same person they screwed over 3 months earlier. I absolutely didn't even reply back. Long time no see. I'm very intrigued to how AI affects the job market in about 5 to 10 years from now. Well, look, I already know how Envoy's going to turn out in 5 to 10 years now. He'll be ignoring my streams. He'll unsub. He'll be in other people's chats talking trash about me, and he'll be watching Barbie on his TV probably every couple of days at a minimum. So we already got the spoiler alert for how the rest of your saga is going to go. We already saw it. I know that for the last several months you buried yourself in a pink room, waiting in seclusion for the release of Barbie, and ever since then, you've been watching that movie in theaters several times over. I know when you went to the theater on release day, that movie took your breath away. I wouldn't be surprised if we go to your house. You have a whole box of all the different ticket stubs from when you went to go see it in theaters. This lady working at this, I don't know what, maybe she's with the coffee place. She's wearing a Spider-Man shirt where it's the mask shaped as a heart. That just stood out to me because I didn't even know you could wear stuff like that when you're at your job, but whatever. I remember that one guy came on my stream talking about most jobs who have uniforms. Like, according to what? You have any statistic that cites that or proves that? No. I tell you, on here, people just make up their own facts. They have no evidence of anything, and they're just like, yeah. It's sad to hear how much people, especially in their 20s, are suffering with job stability, and they wonder why it takes a while to start families or own property. Shaking my head. I already said I don't even know anyone that is like under 40 that didn't inherit something or get help from somebody else that has their own place. Like everyone I still know from, preschool and middle school and high, they all live with either their parents or their partner or their sibling or whatever. Like it no, almost none of them are by themselves and able to afford stuff because it costs too damn much. Oh man, I'll never forget when they made those $4,000 apartments and how tiny they were, and I'm like, there is no way, and even a person who's rich would look at that and be like, "That's a complete waste of money." As small as that, as those little rooms were, those little one room shacks. That would be funny to go up to somebody like some woman that's working as one of those, I guess, custodians or just cleaning stuff, and you're like, "Hey, how are you doing?" It's like they can't ignore you because they're outside. Or if you try to like volunteer for the job, where you're like, "Hey, let me take that box off your hands." I would never even bother doing something like that. Oh man. Oh, this whole year has just been Looney Tunes. The companies that made you sign those documents only to say never mind, wanted to re-interview you months later. No. They didn't want to re-interview me. They didn't even remember that I was the same person they screwed over. Like the lady emailed me as if I was a completely new person because they sit there doing that BS to people all year long that they just don't recall the ones that they act the most antagonistic to. I said before, I'm normally I've had about two or three different places where the first time you applied they said nothing or they rejected you, and then like later on they bring you in for an interview, whatever. I really hated that place because I've never, with any other job I've applied for, had the place say you're hired and then have you fill out stuff as if you're going to start working there, and then completely ghost you for several days to where you're like, what the hell, what's going on? And then they're like, oh, thank you so much for filling out the stuff, but we've decided not to move forward with your I swear when I read that on my screen I want to spit on it. It took all I had to not write back something nasty because I just that stuff like that just pisses me off. It does. Like I said, when the place says nothing back, whatever, maybe they didn't see it, but when you waste that much of somebody's time, I think that's unforgivable. That's never happened to me. Why the heck would they say you're hired and then and only because they're nuts? It had never happened to me before either. You either are hired or you aren't. I've never had any other place had me fill out a bunch of documents. We're talking pages of this crap, and then after you fill it out, ignore you for several days until you ask them, hey, so is something happening? What's going on? Oh, thank you for applying, but we thank you for filling out the paperwork, but we've decided after careful review to not move forward with your hiring process. I hate these places so much. I hope all of them go out of business. I don't even care. I'm so sick of this. Imagine all you want to do is just work a 40-hour week job, and you're willing to do almost damn near anything just to work 40 hours a week, and you have this like weird buffoonery of apply here, apply there, interview here, interview there. Just pricks. I was actually thinking of doing this video. I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna do it. It'll be short. It's probably gonna be like 5, 6, 7 minutes long about what's her name? Kendall, I think, the model or whatever her name, the little influencer, the one that was with. Anyway, someone posted a picture of her with I'm forgetting. I think his name is Bad Bunny or something. It was on Twitter, and I swear I looked at the picture. I didn't even think about it. It was just something that I was scrolling and looking, and I go and I look at the replies, and I see. I'm not joking. It had to be at least half a dozen or more chicks talking trash about her outfit, and I was like really kind of surprised by this because in the picture that they're like attacking or whatever, she was wearing a black dress with some flat shoes. It's something that looks, you know, comfortable. Something that if I saw while I was walking down the street, I probably wouldn't even. If I did notice it, I was like, "Oh, that's nice," and then just keep walking. Like it's nothing garish or outlandish or, what the hell is this? But that's when I remembered. It's so funny to live in this era of fake feminism and all these people talking about how men that can't get with the woman hate them and we're so evil or whatever. But when you really think about it, chicks despise each other more than anyone else. Like you won't see me taking a picture of some celebrity woman. Look at what she's wearing because I don't care. Tell you, man, women are like poison. I mean, the outfit she had on wouldn't even be something I like. Even if I didn't think it was attractive, I still wouldn't screenshot it or reply to it and be like, "Ugh." But they really did that. Yeah, why would that matter? Well, no, I'm just saying that I think it's so funny how they try to lump me in with the I words, and the I words are characterized by like harassing women and belittling them and all this other stuff, right? But it's in that scenario, it's women attacking another woman over her appearance almost exclusively. Like I looked through the replies, and almost every single one saying something nasty was a woman. Because, like I said, they hate each other more than anybody else. Which is why it's all the more funny when they come on here trying to defend each other with this, these goofy romantic choices. But you know damn well that if we were on another site and they were looking at pictures of each other, they'd be saying the most nastiest stuff they could come up with. I saw some bimbo on there say that her shoes were granny shoes. I'm like, what the hell? Like imagine like Envoy. Imagine being on a date with a woman, and she wants to wear some shoes that are easy for her to walk around in because you guys are walking to places together, and then on the internet people are like, why isn't she wearing higher heels? It's like, damn, sorry, she doesn't want to break her foot walking for God knows how long with this guy. I think us men are just more obtuse. LOL, we don't care or notice that type of stuff. Well, in the instances where I notice it, I would never feel as bold or as antagonistic as to as to publicly attack the person over their attire. That's the point I'm making, along with the fact that chicks will come on the internet tell you about how evil the men are for how they treat women, but I didn't see any men respond to that picture and talking trash for what that lady had on. Exactly. You often see women being bring comfortable shoes in their bag when they get to work or on a night out or something. Dude, she wore the most like basic outfit, like a tank top, or not tank top. What's the? I mean, it was a black dress and then some some shoes. Like I just thought it was so crazy to me that it is literally one of the most basic pieces of attire I've seen. No, it wasn't crop top. It was just a dress. It was just a black dress that went down to maybe her knees or whatever. And some shoes that obviously were comfortable to walk in, and like on the internet you have all these weird chicks talking trash about what she had on, and it's really insane. The most basic attire, man, that you can get shamed over. That's when some people speak, it's like they're doing sign language, like they start moving their fingers and pointing over here and all these other directions. I'm watching this guy in front of me. It's like he's trying to explain visually what's going on. As you know, the internet can be such an odd place. The psychoanalysis that occurs is hilarious. You can't get a girlfriend because your cross is too small. Dude, I swear, I always thought that was so insane. Like, imagine you meet a woman and you think she's hot, nice chest, nice face, good height, long hair, or whatever type of hair you like. Oh, but she has a necklace. Uh, I already told you all the stuff they try to use against a guy, they never would. No one with a straight face would ever try to use against a woman. Like, nobody would ever tell you a woman won't have anyone like her because she wears glasses or, you know, wears a necklace. Dude, there are a whole bunch of chicks that would wear stuff I didn't even like, and I still thought they were nice looking. So it's a joke. Double standards are how this society functions. You have to be prim and proper as a man, only with the chance of getting a date. There's still no guarantee. Well, that's why I said all that gym stuff was nonsense because, first of all, and if you don't believe me, you can look this up. If I'm just applying this to my own ethnic group, 4 in 5 African American women are overweight. So where does it make sense for a man to have muscles to ask out a group that 80% of the time is not in shape themselves, and in some cases even excessively not in shape themselves? Like that doesn't make sense to me. I'd love for someone to be able to articulate where there's any type of logic to bending over for them. I'm still laughing at that chick on Twitter that was talking about what kind of stuff she would be okay with seeing me wear if I sent her pictures of myself. And I'm like, Bimbo, you're too cowardly to even show your face. And you're gonna try to tell me what I can wear in pictures I send to you. So some of these chicks have some, like, it's funny how they can be at the same time cowards as they have tremendous courage to, like, make bizarre requests. Like, how do you hide your face while telling somebody what they can wear if they send you pictures of themselves? Like, what is that? Well, you see, the man must be in shape. The woman can't be. The woman can be overweight. They call it thick or some other nonsense other than over. But my thing is, like, I don't. If they want to be whatever, okay, fine. I won't. I'm not interested. But it's like you can't tell me to be accepting of them while being non-accepting of me. That doesn't make any sense. I tell you, these double standards, man, they get to levels of absurdity. And a lot of times these people just double down on this stuff. Exactly, you see it in magazine covers as well. They call women plus size. I've never seen an overweight man called. Oh no, it's always. Remember, if a man is overweight, go to gym. Go to gym. If a woman's overweight, body positivity, dude. You probably don't remember, but there was a scandal on Discord where there was this woman that I met who was in a dating server, and she was she was into something that surprised me, like a movie or whatever. So just like a set of stuff that normally I've never really encountered people that like. And I said, hey, this is pretty nice. We should, do something together. I'm open to hanging out or whatever. And after this is after seeing what she looks like, and at like after she also sees what I look like, because on that site people oftentimes use pictures that aren't themselves. And she's like, well, there are other people on the server too. And man, to say I was pissed that a broad who looked the way she did acted like so high and mighty, like she was too good for me, would be an understatement. I normally don't do this, but I showed her picture to 5 different people in real life, and I told them how she acted, right? Where, oh, she likes speaking to you, and but then declines wanting to do anything romantic with you after seeing your picture, and everybody was like, that's not an attractive woman. But that was something I noticed where people used to say, "Oh, date a fat woman," whatever. Like, no, the point is, even the ones that are overweight or who don't look as good as the whatever ones you think are attractive or what, they think they're as attractive as the ones that actually look good. Like threes and fours think they're eights and nines. Other people on the server too. Damn, clearly you asked her because you wanted to see it with. Well, she doesn't care. So you chicks online and chicks in general, like modern chicks, are like poison. When you get next to one of them, just be prepared to have something bad happen. I mean, as we speak, there's a new one that I kid you not. This happened all in the span of like the last 4 weeks. Me and this person end up having 2 calls on one of these websites that in total are probably about 6 hours long. And she says she finds them very enjoyable, like speaking to me, etc. So I'm thinking, okay, cool, we'll do another one, and we can keep this going. Nice little dialogue here. All of a sudden, she just completely ignores me, and she's one of these people that it's what I call terminally online, where it's not. There are some people who, if they don't say anything to you, it's because they are busy in real life and they just don't have time for anything on the computer. This lady is online every day, all day. So for about a week or so, I see where she's on, just won't say anything, and I just point blank ask her. I think it was last Friday. Hey, are you planning on speaking to me again? Are we done? What's the deal? Oh, I was planning on contacting you probably next week. I've just been going through something where my ex is harassing me. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. So because some random, because of some guy in real life harassing you, it made sense to you to ignore me for almost 2 weeks. And anyways, we had a third call that was like 2 hours plus long. And in the call, she's like, "Oh, I promise I won't do this again." And guess what? She went right back to doing it again. Sent her a message. I think it was on Saturday. It's Monday. Still haven't heard anything back. But guess what? This time I'm not even going to reach out, because now we're not even surprised. You fool me once, shame on you. How did Bush phrase it? Fool me, can't get fooled again. It's like a Napoleon complex, but with weight. Dude, it was just so funny that this unattractive, like I'm telling you, that woman was so unattractive that if I knew what she looked like before I even spoke to her, like if this was real life, because there are plenty of chicks where if they turn me down, I can still look at them and say, okay, I think she's still attractive, whatever. That woman was so unattractive that if I saw her in real life, not only would I not have paid her a second glance, there would have been like almost no chance I would have just come up and spoken to her. Like my attraction to her entirely hinged on her personality in a way seldom seen, and she decided to basically just kind of spit in my eye and go, I'm better than you, and walk away. So that's just the way these bastards are, man. They're always better than you, or at least they think they are anyway. Like I don't know how good I can be if I'm 30 something and living with my parents and too scared to get on the call with somebody. Why do I still try? Who said I was still trying? I mean, why even interact? Because interactions I have with some of them are not romantic. And there are occasions where people don't do ridiculous nonsense. No, this isn't that. That's why that thing with the current one was so nuts because that there's nothing romantic about that. That's literally someone telling you they like talking to you and pretty much out of nowhere be just kind of tossing you to the side, then swearing that they won't do it again and then doing it again. The dating market will ever go back to normal. I mean, I don't know what you define as normal because this whole thing of men having to talk to 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 200 chicks just to get a date doesn't seem normal to me, or having to go and sign up for all these different stupid websites and ask out chicks at the mall and the grocery store and the coffee shop and all these other places. I don't know what's normal anymore. I really don't. Because remember, we're at a point now where if you're a guy and you complain about how hard it is to get a date and are critical of women, people say you're a terrorist. Think how nuts that is. If a woman comes online and talks about her love life and says generalizing things about men, that's okay. Nobody's bothered by that. But if you come on here and you say, "Man, I'm tired of talking to all these different women. I'm sick of having them waste my time. These bastards are getting on my nerves." People will really take that and say you're part of a group, an online community of men who are involuntarily alone, and you're plotting on a new evil act, even though you've never sworn any type of revenge or violence on any damn body. But whatever narrative they want to push. Oh, it's definitely a crime. Well, I told you that like romance discourse is so toxic that people don't even respond to the points being made anymore. I did a video, the Why Don't Approach Women Anymore video, and I'll never forget the whole comment section. Besides the people that agree with me, was mostly just people talking trash about my appearance or speaking style or all this other stuff that had nothing to do with what I was saying. And that's why I said I don't see any. You were talking about why do you still try? I said I don't even I wouldn't even bother trying to have a conversation with someone that's not affected by this about this. For what? They don't listen. They make stuff up. They invent fan fiction. Oh, this person must have done this, that, or the other. So I wouldn't even bother in that respect. Oh, thanks. At this point, it's not even about dating them. It's just like, the, yeah. I like how it's all been spelled backwards. With all the censorship online, you're probably gonna have to spell women backwards to even say anything about them at this point. Uh, but it's nuts. Like I'm not even joking. I think it would be easier to perform brain surgery than getting a date with one of these chicks. Because a brain surgery, if you are a medical student, they sit you down, they explain stuff, they tell you all the procedures, all things that can go wrong. They give you some experience with cutting stuff open. With this woman stuff, you could talk to some broad, have her laughing, have her saying that she likes speaking to you, giving her whatever type of space she claims she needs. You don't talk to her every day, you talk to her a couple of days a week, whatever. At whatever amount she claims is what she wants. And that bastard will still cut the umbilical cord and get rid of you. Or say that she only likes you as a friend. And then you're rolling your eyes, you gotta start this all over again. That's why I said it's just it's not worth it. No, with the procedure, there's a specific series of steps that you do that if they're done in the correct way, almost certainly guarantee that you're going to get the result, either the result you want or that you're doing it correctly. With this woman stuff, chicks are so all over the place that you could talk to one of them and have them saying all the stuff that you would think they would say to someone they like and still end up getting turned down. It's not only getting a date, it's actually trying to build something genuine, like you said. You can follow all the rules, make her laugh, smile, give her space, but then she ghosts you. I'm telling you, man, I tried so hard in so many different instances where you have someone who you almost, God, man, like I swear some of these chicks will talk to you for hours and some of them will send you messages all the time. And I kid you not, it could be something completely out of your control that'll just cause that bastard to just treat you like an afterthought completely. Um, I mean, it's not even funny. Like the amount of time you'll pour into one of those pricks and just to have it, go nowhere is depressing. They like talking, but they don't like building anything from that conversation. Hey, Envoy, I was really trying to test my theory because I was like, okay, if there's no romantic stuff involved in these things, surely they can't be as bad as they are when there is something, right? Like you talk to one of them and you have no desire whatsoever to be romantically involved with them. You just want to speak to the person. They're calling you their friend, etc. Surely there's no way that this can be like screwed up, right? They can't say, "Oh, I felt this way." Surely you're gonna just, if you talk to them, they enjoy speaking to you. They're gonna keep that going because they like that dynamic. Um, like I said, 2 6-hour calls with this person, a few days apart from each other, and then being completely ignored for almost 2 weeks. And I had to put my foot down and go, "Hey, look, are you gonna talk to me again? Are we done? What's the deal?" "Oh, I'm having troubles with my ex harassing me." And I'm like, what does this have to do with me getting ignored by you? That's why I said you can do everything they want and it still isn't enough. Oh, it's very erratic. So because this guy started harassing her after we spoke, she's like, "Hey, forget you. I'm not going to respond to you at all. You send me a message, I ignore it. I don't even look at it." I was surprised because usually if someone just stops speaking to me, I can kind of sense maybe I said something wrong here. I was totally dumbfounded. I was like, why is she doing this? So we're at a point where you don't even have to argue with one of them for just to be ghosted and ignored. Oh, somebody's playing some little thing on their phone. They literally talk to 5 dudes at a time. Remember, that's why I said the whole like all this dating stuff is directed in their favor because every time you speak to one of them and get turned down, people will tell you, "Oh, you did something wrong, and if you had worn this, or if you had said this, or if you had whatever, it could have turned out differently." But when you're talking about external factors, keep in mind a lot of these chicks in the social media era are talking to, in some cases, 5 other guys, 10 other guys, 15 other guys, 30 other guys. You don't know how many men they have wrapped around their finger, all jockeying to be with her. The new rule. I remember that one time I did a romance video and somebody was like, "Was your father in your life?" I said, "God, we just get stupider and dumber every damn second of every day, man. It's so sad. It's always the guy's fault. Like it's you can't even do me the decency of at least admitting that the stuff I'm saying has some validity. So you have to try to like impugn if I had a tragic backstory with a missing parent. It's just a joke, man. Modern dating is based on fraud, and it's the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Because like I said, you could end up getting a date with one of those bastards. She says she doesn't like it, and then guess what happens? Right back to the drawing board. All those weeks and months you spent trying to get her to go on a date, all shot. And chicks are so backwards now that I've even had to explain to a couple when they're like, I think I mentioned before, there was a broad that asked me on a date. Um, and then after I agreed, she started putting up all these stipulations about wanting me to meet her parents and wanting to get to know me more. And I'm like, woman, the whole point of the date is to get to know the person. Like the point of a date is to go with someone somewhere, usually just you and them, and speak and learn stuff about each other. If you're needing to know them before you even go on a date, what's the point of dating? You should get married tomorrow. It's either all that investment for no return or it's all that investment for next to nothing, for like a momentary relief. It would be like if you because people like to compare getting with a woman to a job, even though one is an essential service and the other one is nothing. But it would be like if you applied for a job and they had you run around filling out a whole bunch of paperwork, and then you work the job for maybe like a week or 2 weeks after filling out paperwork for a month, and they're like, "Hey, man, thanks for working for us, but we don't think it's gonna work out." You're like, "Well, damn, I did all this stuff for you guys just to barely get any relief from being unemployed. Are you serious?" Or in some case, if you pay for the date, you actually lost money on the investment. Well, I told you, chicks are fake. They're fake feminists because on the one hand, they want to be equals to men, but then at the same time, they don't want to do any of the assertive things that men do that are not appealing. Like they don't want to ask out men they think are attractive. They don't want to have to go and, you know, pay for a date or any of that stuff. Like seriously, women they want equality in ways where it benefits them, but they don't want it in any area where like they don't have to be princesses and sit hand and foot waiting for their perfect man to show up and you know and you have to do over and over and over again to get something you want. Then the shame comes. I'm telling you, one of these days I'm gonna just do a video on Reddit where I for like a whole year I was just asking out and talking to different chicks on that site, and it went nowhere with any of them. It was all just a complete waste. And it's like that on pretty much every site I try to do that on, where like you meet somebody, and it was even worse there because on Reddit they had the R for R feature where it's like a woman basically holding up a help wanted sign. I'm so lonely and I don't have anyone to talk to and I want to get to know somebody. And it was just for nothing. That's why I said I really just I'm tired of chicks. I'm very sick of them. I think there's almost nothing to gain from speaking to them. Just a waste, man. A total complete waste. Oh damn, is that thing open? Oh, focusing on yourself is the only thing you can do in this country. I mean, don't start me on that passport nonsense. I already destroyed them when they tried to say talk to a woman who's not from America and you'll get a different result. I still remember that broad from what country was that? Australia that agreed to marry me and then like 5 days later reneged and was tried to get me to keep speaking to her just so she could have friendly phone calls with somebody that she stood up. No, it doesn't matter what country they're from. They all do the same stupid stuff. All chicks from other countries want is your money. Or it's just more of the same old stuff. Just lies and a bunch of false promises and just again just more nonsense. Stuff doesn't go anywhere. No, I've been waiting to shame Envoy for his choices. I mean, I know I'll probably get Envoy pissed off when I say this. Well, at least the passport bros thing shows how dire dating is. If we have to resort, that's the way it's been doing here. It's broken. Um, well, yeah, but it's like if the women from other countries do the same stupid stuff as the American ones, how are you any better off than someone who just talks to American ones? Like, why lose a bunch of money going to all these different countries to try and get a date if you already know that the ones in other countries act just as bad as the ones over here? A The double standards even go to clothing because I had whole conversations with Megumi and um, who else was there? I guess Jem to an extent as well. But like, I think it's funny how if a woman wears men's clothing, totally acceptable. Nobody questions it. Nobody has a problem with it. No issue, right? If a man wears an article of women's clothing, oh, here they come. It's World War III. I remember when I was a kid, there was this one time I asked my mother about like can I asked her point blank, oh, so girls can wear boys' clothes, but boys can't wear girls' clothes. She's like, yeah. And I said, well, I mean, who decides that? Because I even said that, oh, and that is just one of the most insane things I've ever seen or heard. Damn, Megumi, why'd you have to show up at this time during the day where I've got something else to do at like 12 o'clock or whatever? Because I only have like an hour and a half. I want to tell you this before I forget. Um, One of my favorite things to do when it's like a day where there's people just at my house all day long, is go and park somewhere, and then maybe I'll write something or I'll just be on the computer or whatever, because I like to occasionally just not be I like to be in a place where I can record stuff and have no interruptions, or I can maybe get out of the car and go for a walk, just little whatever little type of thing I might feel like doing that I otherwise wouldn't feel as open to doing if I'm somewhere where there's multiple people. And I had this one spot that's not too far away from where I stay that I like to park in, because on the sidewalk that it is, there's no house there. So it's not like I'm in front of another person's place. I'm just parked on this there's like a house over on the other side, basically. I've parked in this place several times over, usually really early in the morning, because I like to go for walks, like 5, 6 o'clock, because there's not many people outside. I can just kind of, I feel like the most comfortable just where there's really not that many people out, and I get it out the way and then go back and do whatever. Um, so on Saturday, I'm recording some videos. I'm on the phone with someone who I normally can't speak to because there's people at the place all day long. And I have this guy who lives in the house that's on the adjacent street from where I am. So like, let's say there's no house right here, right? But there's a house on this other side. And this person comes in their little truck and they're like, can I help you? You've been sitting here for a while, and I don't know, the S word is kind of weirding me out. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just on the phone with someone about to leave anyway, because I'm trying not to have a conflict with the guy. But I just want you to think about this. Um, if someone is, because he says like parked in front of his house, but I'm on the opposite street. If I were a more confrontational person, I probably would have told him to call the police if he's actually so afraid of me just being parked in this spot, sitting in my car, keeping to myself, not bothering anyone at all. Um, in front of a sidewalk that has no actual house in front of it. And also, I just want to say this: if I were to be generous, I could say that if someone is parked somewhere, maybe for like several hours, like all day long, overnight, I can kind of get where that would unnerve someone. But if they're only there for like an hour and they're just like mostly doing stuff inside the vehicle, and you don't really see them paying any mind to you or to the stuff on the other side of the street, I do think it is you just being a douchebag. And I normally don't take pictures of stuff, but I just kind of want to illustrate to you how absurd his claim to even being able to tell me to like get lost was. Um, this is the street. So where this little yellow end sign is where I was parked. Like there's no house right there. And then all the way on this other side is where that person's house was. Um, so what I'm getting at is he couldn't even argue from the standpoint of like, oh, you're like trapping me inside, like you're blocking my driveway or something, because the gap of space between those two streets is so big, and I'm parked on the other side, so he can like pull out and just get out. So he really was just being in my view, a douchebag. Why did they feel the need to intervene with you? It's not like you're bothering anyone or obstructing anything. Well, I told you that. Well, some people feel like if they pay rent, they pay a little 1,000, 2,000 a month. They're like gods. Um, but in all seriousness, I really don't know. I was shocked because I've parked there several times before with no issue. There actually is a house that's like right behind me. I'm not parked there right now, but I'm just saying, like, there was a house that's like right behind that parking space. The person who lives there doesn't even care that I parked there, because they park inside of their drive through. So they don't even care that I'm parked there. And they're a lot closer to me than that person on the other side of the street. But you understand what I'm saying, of how if my house is on the left side and my where cars face this way, I can't then say to the person who's parked on the right side of the street, on the opposite side of the street, you're scaring me because you've been parked in front of my house. because it's not my street. It's not, I have no jurisdiction over it. So, like I said, he's very lucky. I'm not a confrontational person, and I try to avoid unnecessary conflicts because if I was, I really would have said, call the police. If you're so scared and afraid, and why, oh my God, this person is parked here for an hour, you know, because that's why I felt comfortable parking there. There's no house there. They really do act like they own the street. Dude, you gotta have some real balls to be like, um, oh, person who's parked on the other side of the street, the street that's adjacent to mine. I am so disturbed that you are over there. I'm scared. No, he wasn't old. He looks like he's probably around like mid-20s, early 30s. He's not, that guy wasn't old at all. He's one of those, but it's like that same thing of like the weird aggression that people have where they have nothing better to do, so they try to like screw with somebody. That's not the first time I've had that happen. It's the first time I've had it happen where I park somewhere that no one, that's literally not in front of anyone's place. Like, um, that's why I said the way he makes it sound, you would think I parked in front of his sidewalk, but it's the sidewalk on the other street. So he has to walk over to the other side of the street or drive over to the other side of the street, be like, can I help you? I feel like they are bored and want to feel some kind of power trip by trying to dictate where others should be allowed to park or something. So he's so lucky that I have the personality type I have. Because that could have escalated so badly, so quickly. But because I never would have enough balls to like see somebody parked on the other side of the street and be like, can I help you? You've been parked there for a while, and it's weirding me out. The only way you could get me to maybe say something is if the person was like, like looking in my house, like, but they have to be out of the car for me to probably even be able to notice that, or if they'd been there all day long and kind of like been like looking at, I'm talking about, like, I have to feel as if they're trying to do something directed toward me. But if they're not, I don't. I mean, like, what I'm saying. No reasonable person is gonna like sit and stare outside their window to see who's parked on the other side of the street. Oh man, people just. I would be too busy doing things with my life. Oh, me too. I was in there recording videos and, um, you know, doing my little. I mean, I wasn't paying that guy any mind. So that's why it surprised me, because it's like I'm not bothering anyone. Yeah, exactly. If it was really late and they were looking into my place, then fair enough. But other than that, it wouldn't bother me. People park on my street and talk on the phone all the time. Heck, I've done it too. That was weird, man. I was so irritated because I used to love that spot because there was no house on that street, so I never felt weird parking there. Because like you would think the person who'd be able to say something to me is when I park in front of the house, up like actually on their sidewalk, but there's no house there to even be able to stake that claim. And it takes a guy who lives on the other side of the street with this big giant. You saw that picture, right? I'll put it up again. This big giant space in between the houses to be able to to like come up and ask me, what do you think you're doing? Look at how big that space is. I'll put it all the way up. Look at how big that space is, and that person's going to tell you where you can park, even though where you're parked is not blocking them or part of their jurisdiction whatsoever. I mean, man, people have some just. Oh God, Megumi. I actually did go to see Barbie on. I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday. They got nothing better else to do with their time. Oh no, they don't. Trust me, I've walked past that house a couple of times when I go for my walks, and that car is parked there a lot. That person really does just sit at the house, just with nothing to do. Um, but yeah, I went to go see Barbie. I absolutely think it's way better than Morbius. We had that joke a few during the stream of the century. Uh, and it was just kind of funny to think that it's almost made 800 million in less than 2 weeks of being out. Like, It's the third highest grossing movie of the year now. God, it was getting to a point where every day it seemed as if it was making 100 million. Well, tell it to all the people that are going out and seeing that one. Dude, that film had the highest, the biggest opening weekend for a movie that's not a superhero film, from what I was told. Oh wow, cool. I've also been hearing some people I know talk very highly of it as well. Yeah, it has a lot of set pieces that I really like. I really enjoy the upscaled version of toy sets, where it really does feel like you're watching this um, almost giant toy commercial in a non-negative way. Like this, like the set pieces are very nice, especially in the era of all this CGI. Um, no, it's got a lot of visual style to it that I find very distinct, and I do objectively appreciate. Also, there was a very interesting twist when I went to go see it. I don't really want to say it because Ripper is here and he might get grossed out and unsub, because we live in the era of toxic masculinity, and people trying to tell me what I can and can't do and whatnot. So I'm very nervous to say it. He might get mad and unsub for me. Can you remember what the ratio of guys and chicks were when you went to see Barbie? It was I'd say around 11 in the morning. So not that many people came as probably would if it were like in the afternoon, I'd assume. But it was one guy with two women, and then there was a couple that was in front of me, and there was a woman who came with two kids. I'd say it seemed like it was pretty even. Like if there was a guy that was there, he probably was with some woman, but I would still say that it was like, you know, it was maybe slightly more women than men, or like maybe like 60% women, 40% men. I'm just waiting to see if Ripper writes anything else, because I don't want him to get disgusted by this big twist. Dude, that is like the funniest thing, where people will get offended over stuff that has nothing to do with them. This person went to go see this movie that I didn't like. So I'm waiting to see if he writes anything else, because if I lose him, I've lost all of YouTube. I'm fairly confident Megumi won't be offended by it, but we'll see. Interesting. I honestly would have thought when I was younger that I would have thought it would mostly just be girls who watch it. People were not lying when they said it's not for kids. It has some fairly overt. I'm not gonna say overt, but there are comments in there that have innuendos that are aimed at adults. I think if you took a kid to go see it, they probably would be confused or by most of the stuff. Well, I can only hope that Ripper won't get offended and unsub, and decide to express his frustration with me in such a defiant manner. Now, when I went on, um, I'm having a hard time remember what day it was. Let me look at my ticket. I still have the ticket. Ugh. I'm actually not joking. I do still have the ticket. Let's see what day this was. Oh, it was Thursday. Okay. Yeah, you don't believe me? There it is, right there. Officially a Barbie fan. Then I like the movie. I admit. I definitely would go back and rewatch that over a lot of this superhero stuff that's been coming out. That's for sure. But anyways, I was going to tell you the twist is that when I went there, I let's just say I wore something that is not considered to be part of my gender, and it was a pretty big thing for me because, like I said, I'm tired of capitulating to a society that doesn't care about me but tries to like police what I can wear. Uh, and it felt nice. Well, Ripper's new, so he doesn't know about our discussions of how of how like restrictive men's clothing is compared to women's clothing. So that's why I said I figured he probably would write something or get offended or whatever. I would say it was several pieces of clothing. I don't think most people acknowledge men in public. We're pretty invisible. Yeah, I had this sleeveless pink shirt that had like a I don't know what's the way to describe it. It has like this part in the front that kind of like swirls up at the top. Not if you wear something that isn't originally of your gender, you won't. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But here's the twist of the twist. I actually received a compliment. Yeah, I always usually sit somewhere up at the front so I can like on the far left, far right, so I can immediately leave. Like I don't have to wait for somebody else to get up or stand up. And this trio walked up to the row I was in, and I had to like kind of. Oh yeah, it was. Um, I had to like kind of move my legs to like position out of the way, and the lady said, "Nice." Her exact words were, "Love the skirt," and I said, "Oh, thank you." I just think it's funny that like that actually means I've had more compliments over attire that's not even for my gender or whatever than my own like actual stuff. I think that's hilarious. Dude, I was expecting for no one to say anything, or if maybe like because I usually I'm not ex, expecting some kind of like big freak out over it or whatever. But it was just kind of funny that you'll get apparently I'm more likely to receive a compliment with female attire than men's attire, even though apparently if you're a man and you wear female stuff, it's like the end of the world. But it felt nice to brave the storm. I was really surprised because I swear every time I go somewhere, um, I don't have people just casually saying something nice about what I have. Probably because it isn't something most people would see guys wearing in general. Yeah, but you know what I mean? That like even if you wear like just regular men's stuff, how often do people actually say anything nice about it? Like, I've had a few compliments about a jacket, and that's really it. I already tell you, I just think in general, chick stuff like stands out more, just regardless of who has it on. Like, I just think most of it has forms of distinction that you don't see with men's clothing. I'll put it that way. It felt really nice. Like I was nervous as all hell, but it felt good to just say, you know what, I don't even care who sees me, whatever. You got a problem with it, piss off. Only thing I didn't like is a lot of that stuff doesn't have pockets. That's the only downside. But no, I know Ripper's opinion of me has now been destroyed and decimated, and he's getting ready to make his video. I was let down by this guy I just subbed to a few weeks ago. I found out what he likes to do. Oh, Envoy just vanished. He had to go do something. Honestly, what you say is very true about female clothing in general are much more distinct from men's clothing. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, like with men's stuff, it's a shirt that has sometimes a collar, or sometimes it like goes up here, sometimes it's buttoned down, sometimes it's not, and then some assortment of like generic colors. With chick stuff, they have, and of course, pants and shorts are pretty much, you know, most brands look exactly the same, other than maybe some cargo pants. But with chick stuff, they have dresses that all look distinct from each other's, tops that look distinct from each other, and they come in a whole giant laundry list of colors. I'll tell you about that one dress I saw on Amazon that came in 42 different colors. And I was like, oh my God, somebody could buy that thing 7 times and have like literally a whole set of outfits for a week. They are extremely expressive. Dude, even like the most basic stuff like a skirt, there's so many distinctions to like the length, and sometimes they have like designs on them. Sometimes they have like the little slit at the side. I mean, it's so crazy how their stuff just is so, and that's why I said that there will be guys probably mostly online, because ones in real life are not gonna aren't as antagonistic, but there will be guys inevitably who have a problem with you know me wearing that stuff, or knowing that I don't care, because like I said, I just hate the idea that if you're a guy, you have this extremely limited set of stuff to wear, but then women can just put on anything and nobody has a problem with it. Even in video games that have character customizations, usually if you select a female avatar, you get access to a huge array of clothing options for female, but the male avatar options are limited. It's something I've noticed when growing up. Oh yeah. What's I'm trying to remember that game's name. There's a game that I remember had some people like pointing out that the male characters could wear female stuff. I'm it's some kind of console game that's in 3D. I'm trying to remember what its name was, but I remember it came out about 7, 8 years ago. But yeah, I might go see Barbie again. We got to get it past the 800 million mark. I do think it's really funny that the same person who was fine with me being homeless said that they wanted to see it with me, or was mad that I went to go see it alone. I'm like, you never even expressed any desire to watch this before you found out I wanted to see it. And then it's like they don't even have enough agency to go and take their stupid behind up to the theater. That's crazy. Like you have a car and you can't drive yourself up to the theater to go watch this yourself. But you'll get mad at somebody else for going to see it. Like people are really crazy. I'll even say what you choose to wear to see what you chose to wear to see Barbie was very fitting. Oh, it definitely was. It was the only thing that wasn't pink were the shoes. Top was pink, skirt was pink, well lighter pink, but still. And, that was a big thing for me because I've never sat somewhere with that stuff on for any like protracted amount of time. But I just say, what, I'm going to sit in this dark theater. There's not that many people here. Let me just be comfortable to I'd say my fullest extent. Well, I'm not trying to sound like I have balls of steel or anything because there are still like I did feel nervous, for example, on Saturday when that guy came out there talking about can I help you, because again I was like what the hell is this, sort of reaction, um because you don't know what people would say to you. Yeah, I mean it's always like a Russian roulette thing with that stuff where I'm always kind of like wondering, is anyone going to say something or whatever. But I always have to remind myself, I mean, what can they really do? Like somebody might say something mean, uh, but can they force you to take it off? Can they? I mean, what is the full extent of their powers besides running their mouth? When you wear that stuff, chicks don't need to worry about the. Oh no, they don't have to worry about anything. Let me tell you something. Stuff is so backwards now that a woman could go into a store, like a grocery store, wearing a bathing suit, one of those like bathing suits that it's like a tank top with the little piece that covers the crotch or whatever, and she would have less people inclined to say something to her about like what is this, what's up, than a guy that wears a skirt. that's that's how backwards stuff is. I do notice that I tend to feel more comfortable if I'm I guess somewhat distracted. So for example, when I went out the theater, the first thing I did was like call my friend and just talk to him, and I was able to like walk out the rest of the place just focusing on the conversation I was having with him, and kind of it basically like kept me from really thinking that much about attire or anything like that. I think you know what I'm talking about. Where like if you have something that is so hopefully taking up your attention span, then another thing that's going on, like what you're wearing or whatever, you probably won't think as much about. Like you might still think about a little bit, but you won't be as inclined to focus on it or hyper focus on it. Window down here. Yeah, man, it felt nice. I have to admit. Oh, it very much was, man. Like no restrictions. I tell you what that one teacher said about it. I agree. No restrictions, no nothing blocking your legs, anything like that. It felt, especially the long one I had where it like comes down to the to below the knee. So like it's such a length that you would never have to worry about. Like let's say how some chicks that when they wear them they have to like cross their legs so you can't see what's like I wouldn't even have to worry about that with the one that I had because of the length. I did used to wear pink a lot when I was younger. It was like my favorite color: pink shirt, pink pants, pink shoes, etc. Yeah, pink's a really nice color. And it's funny how it used to be that baby boys would wear pink and then girls would wear blue, because blue was associated with femininity rather, and now it's been reversed. Pink's a really nice color. I think I have about maybe 5 things that are pink. Because my thing is, it's like if we're gonna do this female clothes thing, we might as well go all the way in. Like if they're gonna have like if they're gonna try to say, oh, this color is not masculine, it's like, okay, well, I mean, you guys would say that even having this stuff at all is not masculine, so whatever. No, that was it was a nerve wracking thing, I'll tell you that. But I have a hard time feeling regretful for doing it, because, like I said, I wasn't trying to make a statement or anything. I just wanted to be comfortable, and I was. Would you consider the Powerpuff Girls to be a girls show? I look at it the same way I look at something probably like Legend of Korra, where it's got a female lead character, but I mean, I I wouldn't necessarily say it's something that boys couldn't enjoy. I used to watch it when I was a kid, the original one anyway. Sugar, spice, and everything nice. You get the idea. Sometimes there's a show or series that has like a female lead character, but it's still got enough stuff for a boy or a guy to like. Dude, I'm just thinking about how if you had told me a month or two ago that the movie that was going to make 800 million in like almost 800 million in less than 2 weeks was Barbie, I would have been like, yeah, right, man, come on. But we're really at that point. Like Ant-Man 3 couldn't even make 500 million, even though it was supposed to be this big time superhero movie with the main antagonist of the franchise for the next couple of years making his big feature film debut. But this film about a toy that a lot of little girls don't even play with anymore is really breaking bank. I was told many times before it was a girl show, dude. Anytime there's something that is associated with females, I don't know if you noticed this, but like I'm sure you've seen this. There are girls. I'm gonna put the top of this thing up because somebody's got their stupid thing playing loud. But there are girls who like male series. Like there are girls who like The Last Airbender, which was about a boy. Um, just various other like cartoons from the 2000s, right? And that was completely fine. But it's like if a boy likes a show with a girl lead character, there's like something implicitly wrong with that, or it's not a good thing, or we need to. That's why I said it's like if you really think about it, and I don't even want to talk about patriarchy or anything, but it almost feels like if it's okay for girls or women to embrace male oriented or male inspired things, right? Like no one would ever shame a woman for liking sports. No one would ever shame a woman for liking shows where there's a male lead character, movies with about men, whatever. But if a guy likes stuff that is primarily about women or has a woman as the lead, or was, just anything that is like coded with females, there's like a completely different response to it. Have you noticed that? Like there's a stigma associate, like if a guy likes stuff that's about girls or that's girl related, bad. If a girl likes stuff that's about boys or boy related, that's okay. This is when I was much younger and I was a little reluctant on letting anyone know I watched it. Yeah, I understand you. Like I'm not going to tell you that I'm this brave soul that never had any type of concerns or worries about stuff. Um, I think at this point, I really have no problem letting people know what kind of movies or shows I like. Oh, Envoy vanished. He went to go see the three the was it 7 p.m. Barbie showing over in his homeland. Dude, every time somebody doesn't show up for a stream, that's going to be my new favorite joke to use, that they're too busy watching Barbie. Every time. I remember iCarly. I used to watch that when I was when did that come out? When I was like 9. It's like 2007, 2006. I think it started like right after Drake and Josh ended. Oh, Kim Possible was great. That was one of Disney's best cartoons ever. That was their first cartoon that lasted for at least 5 years. Call me, beat me, if you want to reach me. That's one show I definitely wouldn't mind doing a rewatch of. It's been some years. No, there's a lot of good entertainment that's about women. So I don't, I would never tell somebody to feel bad about liking any of that stuff. I didn't even read Megumi's last comment. He said, and yes, very true. I've noticed this before a long time ago. So would you say it is a huge disparity? Absolutely, because places like Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney, they feel like if they make stuff for boys, there will be some girls that like it anyway. But they feel like if they make stuff for girls, there's not that implicit possibility of boys also liking it. Remember, Disney, one of the reasons they bought Marvel back in 2009 was because they wanted young boys. They wanted to have that demographic. They felt like they had girls all wrapped up hook, line, and sinker, but the male demographic just was not attainable for them. Envoy asks, do you think that harkens back to the idea of masculinity and femininity? The idea that women can like men's stuff, but men are perceived weak if they like women's stuff? Absolutely. Remember, if a woman came to my house and wore this exact same outfit, nobody would say that she was a lesbian, that she was trying to become a man. There would there they it wouldn't even be a thing anyone would feel a need to like try to shame her over. But if you're a guy and you wear women's clothing or like stuff that is considered to mostly be centered around women, here they come. I didn't know he was into that. To remember, you had people that were saying that men were gay if they'd have a girlfriend. Like that's how nuts this stuff. Like there are people who actually believe if you don't waste your time talking to a bunch of women that don't like you anyway, um, that you're possibly into men, even if you've never shown any desire to be with any of them. Because, like I said, I can wear chick stuff and still be completely attracted to women, and I don't feel bad about wearing it because like I said, they didn't like me before anyway. So you know, it's like there's basically the incentive to not wear it gets weaker every year, and the incentive to wear it gets stronger. Is like what how warped this stuff has gotten. Megumi writes, this also reminds me of High School Musical, and I remember liking it a lot when I first watched it when I was younger. And I was always told it was only meant for girls. What nonsense. Listen, there's no form of entertainment that is meant for any particular gender. There, like, I'll give you an example. When I was in God, what grade was that? Let me think. No, I'll give you. I'll just point it out like this. There are a lot of girls who like Sonic. Now, Megumi, you know that pretty much every Sonic game since after Unleashed has really just been you play as Sonic, right? So it's a series that I think you would agree with me is like mostly for, you could argue is mostly for boys, right? Male main character, male villain. Uh, but there are girls that like to play it. There are women that have grew up with it, enjoy it, etc. So, like I said, they have no problem being into this thing that you could argue is mostly for boys. I will never forget, and I have no problem saying this about her because it's true. Back in 2000, it was either 2008, 7, some year before I was in even high school. There was a Mario spin-off game that came out, and it was called, I think it was like Super Peach DS, but it was a spin-off about Peach where she has to save Mario and Luigi and rescue like the reverse version, right, of what usually happens where she has to be rescued. In this game she has to rescue them. I'll never forget when I went to GameStop with my mother and I wanted to buy the game. I want her to get me the game. She's like, are you sure that this game looks like it's for girls? And I was like, no. And then she went up and asked the teller, is this game for girls? And he was like, no, this is part of the Mario series. Like, think how warped that is. Like it's one thing to say, son, you can't wear female clothing, right? But it's a whole nother thing to be like, you can't even play as a game where there's a female main character. Yeah, Super Princess Peach for DS. And she said that she was so reluctant to get that game that she went up to the teller, or I guess the guy at the counter, and asked him, is this game for girls? Envoy says, but I also noticed that even really young boys sometimes can be a bit weirded and being seen as girly. I guess there's are elements of biology to it as well. Well, look, there are some boys that aren't receptive to stuff with girls. Like, there's a lot of Star Wars toys that have been out for 5, 6, 7 years, still clogging shelves because little boys don't want toys of girls. But what I'm getting at is, I do not believe that if you make something that's good on its own, that you can't also get the other gender to be into it as well. Is what I'm trying to say. Like, even when I was a kid, I would never say, "Oh, I can't play play Metroid." Samus is a girl. Like, that would never even cross my mind. If the game was fun, I would play it. I wouldn't play Pokemon and say, "Oh, damn, my Chikorita's a girl. Got to release her. Got to start over. Got to get a male one." Dude, I remember that was my favorite thing about Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where when you get to Whitney with her stupid Miltank that has that rollout move, I would always get a female Chikorita because rollout has no effect, and it can't, and because the Miltank is female, it can't use attract. So, like, it's double screwed. Like, it can't use its gender based thing of like, hey, how you doing? And it can't, and the move that's super effective is not super effective against a grass type. Oh, that was my favorite thing about just always making sure the Chikorita was female. For that one gym leader, I would make sure. It's just, I don't understand how it could only be meant for one gender. Like, what the hell? Who is to say which gender is allowed to consume or enjoy material/entertainment? It's up for no one to decide that. You should be able to watch whatever you want. Just like if you're an adult, you should be able to wear whatever you want. Like, the only reason I'm not more outward with the chick stuff is because I still am nervous about it for the most part. And I do still have people in my life, even if it's not that many, it's like 2, 3, that um I'm kind of like forced to be around. And them knowing something like that about me would lead to conversations that are not pleasant and that seemingly would have no end in sight. So I would rather wait to fully embrace something like that until after I had secured my own place, whether that's in 2030 or 40 or 50 or whatever. But you get my point that like no one should be able to tell you as an adult, hey, you can't watch this, you can't wear this. Because like if I go and buy a dress or some female top and skirt, I own it. That's it. Like it's mine. And the only restriction, the only thing that would bar me from wearing it in a practical sense, if it can fit me or not. And like I said, the only female stuff I've ever had trouble with fitting is shoes because I do have large feet. But that's besides the point. Let me read what Envoy said. You know what's odd? If you're a straight teenage boy but had female action figures, some would question it. But if you're an older straight male, no one cares. Really odd, man. Oh yeah, because when I was a boy, my mother would not let me have female figures. Like I was not allowed to have any toy of any girl at all. Now, of course, when I got to like you know high school beyond, I could get whatever I wanted, but still. Dude, I remember when the first Spider-Man movie came out, and they had that one Mary Jane figure where she had the red Chinese dress that had like the slit on the side. She looked so good. I wanted that so bad. And the only figure I have from that original 2002, I think it was Toy Biz Wave, was the Norman with the pink chair and the goblin mask on the chair, like from the scene of him talking to the mask. Female stuff was barred, man. You couldn't look at it. You couldn't play with any of it. The only way you could get around like games that had women in it is if it was a game where there are female characters, but there are also male ones, like one of the Sonic games, or if it was something where, let's say, it's like character customization, like World of Warcraft, for example. Oh my god. And I don't even like being like trying to diagnose myself or kind of like do the psychological stuff, but I always felt like the more you tell someone something is wrong, the more likely they are to like embrace it or go for it. Because I do genuinely like the look of a lot of female clothing. Like that is a genuine thing I enjoy seeing and you know touching in terms of like how it feels and the comfortability of it. But I don't know. I just always felt like when you have parents who are just so anti you being around any type of female related stuff, it kind of makes you want to sort of experiment with it or you know gravitate towards it more than if they had just allowed it. It's like the Streisand effect, where the more you tell someone something is wrong, the more they want to do it. Because really, there is nothing wrong about a man wearing female clothing. Like there is actually nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with women wearing men's clothing, uh, and vice versa. The only people who tell you it's wrong are the douchebags that want to try to control your life and adhere to societal standards that they want to retain as part of their archaic belief that things are the way that they were, 40, 50 years ago. Because like I said, you go back to the 60s, 50s, women didn't wear pants. Damn kidding. I have relatives who are old enough going into their 80s and 90s. Well, I guess 70s and 80s. They remember when girls wearing pants was taboo. They're like, what is she doing over there with those slacks on? Are you serious? Where's her gown? But guess what? At one point or another, a lot of chicks, mostly in like the 70s, 80s, a lot of chicks start wearing it. So now it's normal. Dude, if I had a son, there is no way. Like, I'm really not even joking when I say there's no way I'd be like, you cannot have female action figures because the action figures are literally made for anybody. That's why they have some male figures, and that's why they have some girl figures, and they're even part of the same damn line. So they want you to get all of them. Oh, you know what? I just realized the other thing that got around the whole no girl toy thing was the Power Rangers because they have masks, and a lot of times I don't even think my mother could tell like who was male and who, like, I know obviously they're like sculpted around the chest or whatever, but you get that because their costumes are all fairly similar to each other. I don't think she was able to notice like who was male, who was female. Yep, it's totally normal even in a professional or work setting. Dude, it would be kind of nice to have one of those at home jobs and you just get to wear whatever you want. Like that would be so funny to just like be a guy at your stay at home work job where nobody could see you and you got the lipstick on and the gown or whatever, and like you don't even care because again, no one's here, no one's judging you. You're just in your zone, looking nice for yourself. Because like I said, that bastard that did the you want to have a place to live when you come back. They don't have to worry about looking good or anything. They're at their house all day long, sealed up in that little fine box. Magumi on Saturday, Jem was asking me about my parents and why don't I live with, and I was like, dude, this is getting kind of personal because like the whole point of me saying relatives is that these are living people who very much could end up, not wanting to have their specific relation to me pointed out as far as like, I'm talking about. It's just one of those things where I say relatives on purpose to leave it vague as to not get any of these people in trouble in any way they could trace back to me or say like, oh, he did this. It really is funny how you can see women wear slacks with a blouse slash women pull up shirt, but if a guy wore a skirt to work, it would be questioned, I guess. Really interesting. Well, it all goes back to this thing of like we have a set series of beliefs that get interjected in our society until people break it enough. Like there was a time, and I'm not even joking. We can go and watch old footage of Bush and Quayle, the older Bush and Quayle. They would talk about like Quayle would openly talk about homosexuality being a lifestyle choice. But guess what? Nowadays, politicians don't say anything about that. They don't. They barely even talk about gay people. Except when they want to ban them from getting married. But that's besides the point. Now all they do is usually complain about transgender people. That's the new group to make into a punching bag. But you get the idea that because so much time passed, and this group that was always there became like more vocal and open with what they were, they don't really bother them too much. They don't really try to like tell you there's something wrong with them as much as they used to. So that's why I said if men wore skirts and dresses for the next 20, 30, 40 years, there's going to be some pushback, right? Like you're going to have some guys do the whole like, oh my God, the mask. But in all seriousness, by the middle point of the century, no one's going to be questioning it anymore. It's going to just be like, whatever, I don't even care. Because the guys who really are against that stuff are just not going to wear it. Like I don't wear shorts. So, and I don't have a problem with other people wearing it. I just don't wear them myself. But if somebody wants to wear it, I don't care. I hope you enjoyed the replay. It was really hot out there that day. I'm telling you, man, when I go out here, I feel like I'm in a furnace. Exactly. Why can't more people just have that way of thinking? Because when they get attached to an idea that's ingrained to them by their parents, by society, it's hard for them to move to anything else. like to take in any alternate way of doing stuff. Like a lot of guys who express support for me will say, I wouldn't wear a dress or a skirt. It's like no one is saying that you have to. Like I support gay marriage. I'm not going to get married to another man. Like, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't bother me if somebody else wants to. I don't have to like quantify it by saying, I personally am not attracted. Like, no, it doesn't. It's not something I need to throw out there to like, you know, stick in the way of me expressing support for this thing this other person wants to do. It is harming people, Megumi. It's woke. Remember what that broad said, that she was fine with men wearing women's clothing until transgenders came around, even though me wearing this stuff has nothing to do with identifying as a female whatsoever. So yeah, when she got banned on Twitter, what was that, like a few days ago? I didn't even flinch, because honestly, some of these chicks, they're just they're nasty, man. They're gross. I never cared if people of the same sex wanted to get married. Neither did I. Well, Envoy, you only didn't care because you're pushing the woke agenda. You have a female boss and a female mother and a female sister and a female landlord and a female doctor. And some of the channels you're subscribed to are run by women. You're woke. Dude, imagine like really, what's so sad, Megumi? I'm not even saying this to be funny. American kids are in a really dire position where they're dying at record levels of gun violence, right? All these shootings. A lot of them are not able to read at a literacy level that is consistent with their age. There are genuine things like destroying the future of America, and these idiots will tell you that a kid seeing me wear a skirt or a gown is like the thing that stops them from growing up. I mean, it's so stupid, man. Like, talk about skewed priorities. They had a bill in Florida where you couldn't even, if you were gay and you were married to someone of the same gender, you couldn't even put their picture on your desk. But that's how like backwards the priorities are in, like over here, like just so much frivolous nonsense they get caught up on. By the way, Megumi, here's a spoiler alert. If I do end up wearing that female stuff in videos or streams or whatever, and let's say, because there are going to be some people that react a certain way. I'm not going to do it anytime soon, so don't worry. But here's the spoiler warning. Everything I said about chicks and their ridiculousness and how bad they are and how they're like poison will still be true. All the evidence that we showed will still be a thing that existed that proved how full of crap they were. So they can call me gay until they're, they can call me gay all day. It's still not going to change that chicks are as bad as they are now. Oh, you saw the stream on Saturday, so I don't have to relitigate what happened with that woman. But just to give you a really brief summary, she did it again. I wasn't even surprised, man. Like, imagine promising to someone that you're not going to ignore them again, and then what do you do the exact day after that? Ignore them again? Oh my god! Imagine telling some, because I'm looking at the messages right now. Uh, where's my favorite one? Yeah, where she claimed that she was going to contact me next week if I hadn't, if supposedly, even if I hadn't have said anything to her. I was like, yeah, I believe that. I didn't forget about you. I've wanted to speak to you and should have, but It seemed like every time I was about to, something else happened. So, dude, I want to count how many times she said I'm sorry, like how many times she wrote that, because I see at least 5 times. And remember, she's saying sorry just to literally the exact next day start like keep up the same crap that she was doing before. It has been hell. I hope you can forgive me though. I said, what's the point? You might just decide to ignore me again next week or next month anyway. That's really harsh that you think that, but you're entitled to think what you want. And then I said, what's harsh about it? I'm not insulting you or calling you out of your name. It kind of feels like you're calling me a bad friend. That stings. So it stings to her to be called, even though I didn't actually call her a bad friend. I just read the message. I didn't call her that. But it's like it stings for her to be called a bad friend, but not, it's not supposed to sting for me to be ignored by someone that claimed to like talking to me and sat in multiple, several hours long calls with me. Megumi writes, I sometimes message this chick who'd only respond or try to talk like once every month. If I send her a message, I'll have to wait until next month or maybe get a reply. You know, I know one that's like that too. The one thing I'll say about her, I'll give her credit for this. When she's busy, she means that you won't see her online at all. She will vanish from the internet in its entirety. And if you give her long enough, a week, a month, whatever, she will reach back to you. I've gone several stretches of time where we haven't said anything to each other. Like I'll just write her some stuff and then like no response for days or weeks. But she'll get back and she'll write some responding to it. So I can, you know what? As much as I wish people were more active and spoke to each other more often, when that one says she's busy, I can at least buy it because she's not on the internet at all. And she does reach out to you after a while. This other one who sits on the computer all damn day, it kind of sounds like you're calling me a bad friend. I see the envoy vanished again. He's going to another Barbie showing. That would be funny if he's like watching it right now and he's got the phone to his ear. So like he's getting they were talking about a Barbenheimer. You got Barbadisson, where it's like a little bit of both. The ones who genuinely will respond back to you but are busy. That's like a running gag now, where the ones that seem to like me the most have the least time to actually do anything with me. Isn't that really ironic that the ones that like you, they're never around because they're busy, but then the ones that are available, they'd rather just ignore you altogether. That's a nice dose of irony. That's like in those superhero cartoons where the love interest likes the alter ego but doesn't like the hero's normal persona. What was I going to say? The envoy. I know a while back you mentioned wanting to know about LBJ. You probably don't remember. It was like a year ago. Um, I was going to let you know I'm working on a documentary about him. I've got about 6 books about the man. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up one part from it so I can like have pieces of it done at different points, and then just when the whole thing is finished, stitch it all together. Like I'll do the early life section, and then I'll add like the rest of his early political career in after that. Makes me feel quite distraught knowing that, but it is true. I'm telling you, man, you can have a woman that's. I mean, I told you about the one lady that I met on Twitter who was posting on there every single day, all day long. But if you try to get her to DM you or talk to you one on one, Good luck. You sometimes have to send her 2 messages to get her to respond, or 3. And she keeps saying that she likes you and all the rest of this, mushy stuff, but it doesn't go anywhere. Like she's not she you still have to like basically pester her to even get her to really notice you at all. I do like when you talk about the press. To be honest, I was wondering if you knew much about Hugh. Yeah, Huey Long. Are you serious? Let's see what the hell happened over there. No, I remember him from Louisiana. I remember his son was in the Senate when Johnson was president. Huey Long's one of only 2 sitting senators to get assassinated. The other one being Robert Kennedy. I absolutely remember Huey Long. Really, I think anyone who's from Louisiana should know who Huey Long is, but that's another position. Dude, I remember like talking with my grandma, and she was like mentioning how when the 68 race was going on, it said, like RFK has won California, and then like must be 10-20 minutes later the screens are flickering and they're talking about he's been shot, and she's like, what the and I'll never forget that when I was in it was when I was first getting into history and politics and all the rest of that. So I must have been about maybe like 15, 16. She drove me down to the site where it happened, to where the Ambassador Hotel used to be. They replaced it with some schools. They tore it down back when I was in like second grade, the former hotel. But it was really interesting just kind of being around that stuff. Yeah, I've actually had several conversations about how there are many important senators that people just don't know about, and it's really sad. So that would definitely be one that I would consider doing something with. But the LBJ thing is a priority because like I said, I'm actually doing research on this. Like I have several books I'm using, and I already know that once I finish making this, um, Envoy is going to be so impressed. He's probably going to download the whole thing and stick it in his hard drive. It'll be my favorite video, his favorite video that I ever made. He'll call it my magnum opus. Oh, by the way, Megumi, I was going to tell you that I found out just recently. It was like yesterday that California has the highest gas prices of any state. It's like $5.90 a gallon. His hard drive's probably filled up already because of of storm. No, you know what? Let me tell you something. His hard drive is going to be stored up from all the Barbie trailers and interviews. And when the digital copy comes out in probably like October, dude, Spider Verse 2 is coming out on digital in about a week or a week and a half. I'm so excited. Dude, imagine like the actual Barbie archivist where he has all the interviews, all the trailers, all the like different guest appearances, all the reviews. Like everyone that makes a review just gets put in that hard drive. No, I'm really amused by the whole just set of this stuff. I still can't believe Barbie made so much damn money. Like I'm in shock by that. That's the third highest grossing movie of the year. Oh yeah, so it seems like you got your car. Oh, let me tell you what happened because that's another story. I can't believe I completely forgot about that. So when that stream ended, I called up the towing company so they could like because I'm not that far away from my place, so like it's not that far of a tow. They're on my insurance, and they came over here and they asked me like, "Hey, what was going on?" So I explained to them that the car was acting up or like it wouldn't turn on. What the guy told me is that it was so damn hot that it basically burned out my the car battery. And I went over, I followed his instructions. He told me to go to AutoZone and get a new battery. So I went over there and got a new one. It costs 200 some dollars because of course it does. And he told me that when you go there, they can put it in for you. So I say, hey, so can one of you guys put this in here for me? And the lady's like, oh no, I don't have anyone here with me, but I'll give you the tools to use. And I'm already like objecting to that because I'm not a car person, so I'm not gonna end up getting myself, zapped trying to trying to install this thing. So she directs me to this other place, and the people there put it in for like 20 some dollars. Um, but yeah, the car battery went out because and actually what's really funny is when I first put the top up to look underneath and try to like manually figure out what was going on, a guy came up to me and asked me, hey, can you give me a charge? And I was like, oh sir, I'm not a car person, I'm just trying to figure this out myself. And he was like, yeah man, this weather's effing up all our cars. And he asked the same guys that came out and charged my thing if they could do that for him, and apparently they did. So that's what I'm saying. It's so damn hot over here that it burnt out the battery for the car. So remember, when I sit over here and I sweat and I'm doing all that just to speak to you. That was the line I had with that chick. I said I sat out there in my hot car for 3 hours talking to her, so she wouldn't have to hear anyone in the background. I could have been at home under the fan drinking some cherry Pepsi. Wow, first time hearing this. This legit is fascinating because I've always liked the heat. Well, look, man, this is the kind of heat that I would expect from a desert. Like it's very hot over here. Where I live, it's always cold and most of the time rains and it's cloudy. I'm envious. You sound like you have that Alaska weather. I wish I could have that. But in California, it's very hot. You know what it was is that we got to a point. I'm not even joking. In the earlier part of this year, it was like every day it was raining. Like around March, April, every day there was like little pieces of drizzle that would come down. Now it's so warm that I almost think that all the like rain has just been absorbed. Like there's going to be no more rain for the rest of the year. Because it's never I've never been this like burnt out before, Like I've done streams at this exact time in the past outside prior to these last 2 months, and I was fine. I did a stream around this time for the Peace Summit, if you remember, and like I didn't have any issue with the weather there. But that's why I said it's this is a heat that's not normal. There's something else going on. Something having to do with the environment. God, man, yeah, I've never heard of the weather actually affecting cars like that. Well, sometimes when they have like a snowstorm, cars can get like, boxed in or whatever. Um, but I just couldn't imagine that it would be so hot as to just completely make the car not even work anymore. Because at first I was like, oh man, did I run out of gas? Because I always refuel. Like if it gets to a certain lowness, or I guess low points. But yeah, it was so hot. The multiple cars were just like, we can't do it. Megumi, I've heard weather affecting cars, TBH, but I've often heard the cold doing more damage to cars than heat, like batteries dying because it's so cold, etc. Look, too much of anything can just destroy your car. I'll put it that way. I'm not even joking. I actually might go see Barbie again and like do the exact same thing. You don't know how impactful Thursday was. That is the first clothing compliment I've received all year, and it wasn't even stuff that apparently is for me anyway. So it's a strong temptation. No, and that stuff with that car was happening. I was really freaking out because I've never had trouble with it like that before. But I braved the storm. I said, okay, let me see if we can do this, and it looks like everything worked out. Minus the $200, but whatever. It was kind of funny that the place I went to, the shop or whatever, it was a bunch of guys who were, like they were all just doing their little car stuff, and it was a woman that was running the place, and it was like a really skinny lady that looked conventionally attractive, and I I'm not even joking. I was thinking it was like a sweatshop version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, where it's like the woman that's above all these like grunt guys that do the dirty work. I mean, good luck trying to stand up in those damn things. If I could wear them without falling over, I would. But I'm not even joking. Every instance where I've tried, because some are not as bad as others, depending on how big the heel is. But every instance where I've tried, it's been too much. And I have to admit, with the nervousness that I feel with a lot of that stuff, I think what happens is that I'm kind of like rushing to do things. So having something that kind of like stalls my speed makes me kind of not really want to put it on. If you catch my drift, like I'm not as inclined to be what's a good way of putting it? It's not as appealing to me because I'm like limited in how fast I can walk if I have it on. I'm just so tired of Envoy and his Barbie obsession. Like this guy will miss all my streams to go watch that movie over and over again. He'll buy it on Blu-ray and on DVD and get the digital copy and stream it. And every time somebody makes a video with its name in the title, he goes and downloads it and puts it in his Barbie archive channel. He's campaigning for a role in Barbie 2. I'm really sick of him. Dude, I'm never gonna get tired of that joke. Every time somebody's not available and you can't get them to speak to her, that it's because they're watching Barbie. If your relatives found out about you doing that, I know you wouldn't hear the end of it. I mean, remember these are the same people where one of them noticed that I had a shirt that wasn't blue. Like it would be the end of the world, man. Why are you ever so? This guy said there were. No, I'm not gonna make that joke. I don't think you would get it, but it was. I was just thinking of something. One of my favorite jokes ever is where that one person said that Wikipedia treats me worse than the WWE treats Chris Benoit. I said, yeah. I mean, I have to admit, at least with his stuff, they'll accidentally show when they're playing old matches with me. They'll delete your whole thing and act like you don't even exist. So yeah, that site does treat me worse than the wrestling company treats the child and wife killer. No, I would absolutely never hear the end of it. It would be the new start of a brand new conflict, and the whole time I would just be sitting there like, man, if only I was female, things would be so much easier. I'm not even saying anything about like being like actually wanting to be a chick or anything. I'm just saying that if if I were, there'd be no article of clothing that I could be shamed over. Like I just think the whole thing is so sad, man. When you don't have like people that support you and they're like the ones you live with and have to be around, it's hell on earth. No, never, never. I know they wouldn't because they bring up stuff from sometimes 10 years ago, sometimes 15 years ago. I think we've done a discussion on this before. I tell you, the chick stuff is with a lot of this stuff. I feel is interconnected because it has to do with double standards. Like one group being able to do whatever they want, be whatever they want, and the other one being like limited to this, that, or the other. And I just think in most cases, chicks are just allowed to be something that is more akin to what they want to be versus, a guy. Like I think they're just in general more likely to be accepted for what and who they are than a male would be. Because there are women who've come out and said they don't like wearing dresses, they don't like wearing skirts, they don't like wearing any female clothing. And guess what? Nobody has a problem with that. There are women who only like wearing skirts and no one has a problem with that either. But if you're a guy and you have like a little desire to mix things up every, dude, if I was like somebody's parent or uncle or whatever, and the worst thing they didn't commit any crimes, the worst thing they did was wear clothing of the opposite gender. Man, that wouldn't even make my top 1,000 list of offenses. I mean, as I said, it's just funny the type of stuff people can take and act like it's this big deal. And oh my god. But yeah, when that woman said "love the skirt," I did feel something. I have to admit. Oh man, this stuff is so crazy. The double standards, the lies. Somebody always trying to tell you what to do. Female stuff has always been very fascinating and distinct. Oh yeah, and dude, it's like if you just like I'm telling you, you type in pink shirt for men, right? Might have a collar, might be buttoned down, whatever, short sleeve, long sleeve. You type in pink dress, you get a long one, a short one, different shades of pink. Sometimes it's a halter top where it hangs up here, or it's hanging on the side. Sometimes it covers the whole back. Sometimes it's like a bra or a tank top. I mean, it so many different variations. Remember, I'm crazy for liking that stuff, and you know, I'm telling you, man, chick stuff is so distinct compared to men. It's not even funny. I'm actually really surprised. I forgot to mention the stuff with the car on Saturday. What it is I think I was just so irritated with that stuff with those insane chicks. I probably just kind of like it was a settled thing that happened on Monday, and then it sort of faded into my consciousness. Most guys wouldn't wear female stuff, I feel, because the stigma and worry about how others would perceive them, insults and smears. Yeah, like I said, it's an absolutely valid concern. Whenever you do something that's like wholly against the grain like that, there's always different ways people will perceive you. Like, remember, I'm still afraid to even like go and walk down, you know, some several series of streets. Or, I mean, that was a mall that I went in to see that, but it's like I just went in one room and was just mostly sitting down for an hour and a half. As guys, you have to put up with crazy amounts of stuff and worries. Oh yeah. Well, like I said, I think as more time passes, and there are certain career based accomplishments I want to have, I think I'll be more comfortable with doing that stuff in a more open manner. And like I said, one of the biggest concerns for me is the fact that I still live with people who are or have to see people that would be very judgmental and have like a problem with it, even though it doesn't affect them. So that's really those are the biggest concerns for me as far as why it's still not something I would do at this point with any regularity. But yeah, every now and again I'll tempt myself. I went into this one store one time, returned this thing, and I had something on. I was just mostly standing there, and the person scanned my thing, and I left. But it's like baby steps. It's like when I was first learning to drive a car, I was really scared to get in there and start the engine, and now I feel comfortable enough to like once I put in the address to where I want to go, that's it. Like I said, with anything, you just have to breathe in and do what you want. And I know it's not easy to you know do things that you know are going to attract a certain amount of possibly unwanted attention, but I would say that it went off pretty well on Thursday, and I do have people mostly online, but one in real life as well that are like encouraging of it or okay with it, whatever. And I appreciate them for that. Uh, but like I said, this isn't about trying to replace chicks or steal something from them or whatever. It's just wanting more clothing options. I'll tell you that when I don't know if you remember that video, it was called "We Can't Go Back Again." And I mentioned how I had more people close to me die in the last 5 years than um, at any other point ever, and it was. I mean, I guess that plays into it too, where it's like when you remove people that someone was trying to impress or do things to appeal to from their life, there's almost a certain cynical melancholy where you know I don't want to sound like one of those pessimists who says nothing matters, but I would certainly be more worried if it were they who had a negative opinion versus a lot of these other people that barely know me or, you know, always have had a negative opinion anyway, if that makes any sense. Where it's almost like the main people you were actually interested in appealing to aren't there anymore. So it's kind of like the scraps, like the scrapes are all trying to convince you that what they have to say and think matters when they don't. I guess that's another way to put it. Oh man, this weather. I would love so much to wrap up the stream and then go and like of course Jem would show up at the last second. Well, I'm glad Jem showed up at the last second because I didn't want him to come in here talking about, oh my God, you went to go see Barbie, you're so woke. Woke, woke, woke. Woke, woke, wokety, woke, woke, wokety, woke, 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 woke flakes. I can just imagine Jem being like, you went to go see a movie that I didn't want to see? I'm unsubbing. Yeah, Jem, I went to go see that woke movie and I wore a skirt while seeing it. So you can get mad. You can say I'm whatever. I don't even care. You can ball your fist. You can say that SJW tried to destroy masculinity. I'm not even. It's whatever to me. Yep. The shirt was pink, and so was the. Well, the shirt was a brighter pink, and the skirt was kind of like one of the more like I guess light pink. And this lady that walked past me complimented me. Magumi said very fitting, honestly. I mean, like I said, I wanted something that matched with the movie, and you know, this is I just figured, okay, whatever, something that's comfortable, same general color aesthetic as the film. I literally asked the guy in the front. I was like, hey, so after I get my tickets, can I come back? You know, as long as I have tickets. He's like, oh yeah, as long as you have a ticket. And I went and changed, and then I came back and went to the room that it was playing in, and that was that. You better believe when that film was over, I bolted down those stairs so fast to go outside and call my friend. Well, the Vietnamese can be as angry as they like. But Jim, let's be honest. You know this movie's got almost 800 million, and you know you're a big part of that. You've seen it at least 30 times. It's banned in Vietnam. Well, they've been banned in movies in all types of different countries for all sorts of stupid reasons. You remember for Star Wars Episode 9, they have a lesbian kiss in the background that they edited. It's in the movie for like 2 seconds. They edited it out of the I believe it was the Chinese release. So, well, no, you don't have any interest in Barbie anymore now that you've seen it so many times. But you know, you were definitely interested 2 weeks ago. Don't pretend you went to go see Oppenheimer. I'll tell you, my favorite thing ever was when The Force Awakens came out in China and they edited out. What's that guy's name? Boyega. They made his character on the poster. They shrunk him. It's like, yeah, we support inclusivity. That's why we're going to take the one African American character or the one black character and make him tiny on the poster in this foreign country. Yeah, we definitely are for inclusion. But I said, man, this all this stuff is just such a joke. Oh man. Well, look, I would like to do this a little bit longer, especially since Jem showed up at the 11th hour, and I wanted to make stuff up with him. Um, but I do seriously have an appointment to attend with this person. I told him I would show up to the thing. It's at like 2 o'clock. So I'll be back next Saturday, and what was I gonna say? I might do a romance video on that crazy thing that happened on Twitter with these chicks talking trash about this one lady. Um, no worries. Enjoy your week. No, the LBJ documentary is actually coming along pretty smoothly. I've got a couple pages of a script now. I might put up a piece of it. It could be this week, next week, but we're definitely making that one. So thanks for showing up, Megumi Envoy, when he was here after his long absence. And Jem, next time I hope you show up earlier, because if you don't, I'm gonna know that you were at the theater watching Barbie for the 50th time in the last 2 weeks. And I probably won't even read any of your comments. I'll just let them scroll around and fade into obscurity. So have a good rest of your Monday.